On a peaceful morning along the coast of America, residents suddenly discovered a massive black shape lying motionless on the sand. At first, many people thought it was a giant rock, or perhaps debris from a ship that had washed ashore. But as the smell began to spread, they realized that what lay before them was the carcass of a whale weighing tens of tons. It was not just the body of a dead animal, but a biological time bomb decomposing under the heat of the sun. Within just a few hours, the surrounding area could be sealed off, the beach could be closed, and local authorities would have to call in a team of specialists to handle it. Because if it is handled the wrong way, this enormous carcass could break apart in the waves, attract sharks, cause pollution, and turn the entire beach into a disaster zone. And that is when one of the strangest jobs in America appears, the whale carcass removal specialist. It may sound unbelievable, but for them, every call like this is a race against time, the stench, the tides, and even the curiosity of the crowd. Today, we are stepping into the world of whale carcass removal specialists, the people who do a job that almost no one is brave enough to even imagine. When people hear the title whale carcass removal specialist, many imagine a clearly defined job, with its own uniform, dedicated solely to removing dead whales. But in reality, in the United States, this work rarely belongs to just one person. It is more like a disaster response team than a single profession. When a dead whale washes ashore, many different groups have to show up together. Marine biologists arrive to identify the whale species, measure its size, assess its stage of decomposition, and look for any unusual signs on the body. Veterinarians or wildlife experts may help evaluate the possible cause of death. Environmental agencies and local authorities are responsible for securing the scene, protecting the public, and controlling the risk of pollution. Commercial contractors bring in excavators, chains, heavy-duty trucks, or tugboats to handle the most physically demanding part of the operation. And in many cases, federal agencies are also involved, because whales are strictly protected marine mammals. In other words, a whale carcass is not just a beach cleanup problem. It is a biological investigation scene, a massive logistics challenge, a public health risk, and sometimes even a media crisis. One wrong decision could cause the carcass to break apart in the waves, spread the stench into nearby neighborhoods, or keep the beach closed longer than expected. That is why the people who do this work need more than strength and courage. They need scientific knowledge, field experience, the ability to coordinate with multiple agencies, and a cool head under extreme pressure. A whale carcass is dangerous not only because of its size, but because it is a massive biological mass in the middle of decomposition. A fully grown whale can weigh as much as several heavy trucks combined, so simply moving it is already an extremely difficult challenge. When it lies in the surf zone, the carcass can be pushed around by waves, become trapped, or break apart if it is pulled the wrong way. Inside the whale's body, decomposition produces gas, causing the abdomen to swell like a giant balloon. If the response team cuts in the wrong place or applies too much force, the internal pressure can cause decomposing material to burst outward. Beyond the unbearable smell, a whale carcass may also carry bacteria, toxins, or signs of disease that must be examined carefully. It can also attract scavenging birds, wild animals, and especially sharks in the waters close to shore. That is why authorities often have to close the beach, put up warning signs, and keep the public at a safe distance. For the response team, this is not just a pile of waste that needs to be removed. It is a biological hazard weighing tens of tons, and if underestimated, it can quickly become a serious problem. When a whale carcass washes ashore, the response team cannot simply tie a rope to it and pull it away. The first step is to secure the area and keep curious people from getting too close. After that, specialists have to identify the whale species, its size, its stranded location, and the level of decomposition. They also look for unusual signs such as wounds, fishing gear marks, shipstrike injuries, or signs of starvation. If necessary, the marine biology team will collect samples or perform an on-site necropsy to determine the cause of death. Every action must be carefully calculated, because a decomposing whale carcass can easily tear apart, rupture, or drift back out to sea. Next, the incident command team evaluates the tides, wind direction, beach terrain, and distance from nearby neighborhoods. If the carcass is in a remote location with little impact on people, it may be left to decompose naturally. If it is near a tourist area or a residential community, the team must choose whether to bury it, cut it into sections, transport it away, or tow it offshore. But every option requires permits, proper equipment, and coordination between multiple agencies. An excavator, a heavy chain, or a tugboat can all become dangerous if used at the wrong time. That is why, in this line of work, no one gets to just pull it away before the carcass moves even a few meters. Everyone must know exactly what they are pulling, where they are pulling it, and what could happen if the plan fails. Imagine the worst-case scenario happening on a Saturday morning, right before the busiest holiday weekend of the year. A massive whale washes onto a tourist beach, where thousands of people are expected to arrive in just a few hours. The sun begins to beat down, and the smell of decomposition spreads with the wind into nearby hotels, restaurants, and coastal neighborhoods. In the water close to shore, rescue teams detect signs that sharks are being drawn toward the carcass. Authorities are forced to close the beach, set up barriers, issue warnings, and order everyone to stay away from the area. But the problem is that the tide is rising, and wave after wave begins pushing the carcass sideways in the shallow water. If they wait too long, the waves could tear the carcass apart and spread decomposing tissue across the sand. If they pull it too soon, it could rupture right in front of the response team. Meanwhile, scientists still need to collect samples to determine the cause of death. Contractors are waiting for the order to move excavators and heavy chains into position. Residents stand behind the barricades, constantly filming, complaining, and asking when the beach will reopen. Local media has already arrived, turning every decision into a public spotlight. Between the stench, the crashing waves, the radio chatter, and pressure from every direction, the incident command team has only one choice. They must come up with the safest possible plan before nature makes the decision for them. To do this job, being tough is not enough. A whale carcass removal specialist must understand marine biology, so they know what species they are dealing with, how large it is, and how far decomposition has progressed. They need to know how to read the scene, from shipstrike marks and fishing gear scars to the overall condition of the animal's body. They must also master biohazard safety, because even one wrong contact with decomposing tissue can be dangerous. Beyond scientific knowledge, they also need to understand heavy machinery, chains, trucks, tugboats, and how to work with the tides. One small coordination mistake could cause the carcass to drift back out, rupture, or become trapped in an even worse location. Communication skills are also critical, because they have to coordinate with local authorities, scientists, contractors, and curious crowds. And above all, they need a cool head. Because while everyone else just wants the carcass gone as quickly as possible, they have to stay calm enough to do it right, not just do it fast. To an ordinary person, a whale carcass washed ashore is simply something that needs to be removed as quickly as possible. But to scientists, it is a valuable archive of data about the health of the ocean. Every bruise, cut, layer of blubber, stomach sample, and tissue sample can tell part of the animal's final story. It may reveal whether the whale was struck by a ship, entangled in fishing gear, infected with disease, starving, or exposed to environmental toxins. Sometimes, inside their stomachs, scientists even find plastic waste, fishing lines, or objects that should never be inside the body of a marine animal. This data helps scientists better understand the threats silently unfolding offshore. A carcass on the beach can become evidence of a much larger problem: shipping traffic, pollution, climate change, and the health of the marine ecosystem. That is why, before the whale is buried, towed away, or disposed of, it is often carefully examined. This work may begin with a terrible smell and an uncomfortable scene. But sometimes, it ends with a clue that helps protect the whales still living out in the ocean. If one day you are at a beach in America and you see a whale carcass washed ashore, the first thing to remember is, do not get close. Do not touch the skin, blubber, bones, teeth, or any part of the animal. Do not climb onto the whale carcass to take photos, because the surface may be slippery, unstable, and extremely dangerous. Do not try to cut off teeth, bones, or anything else as a souvenir. In the United States, many marine animals are protected by federal law, and taking parts from them can get you into legal trouble. Do not attempt to pull, push, bury, or move the whale carcass on your own if you do not have the authority to do so. An action that seems helpful could damage the scene, cause pollution, or make the carcass rupture out of control. Do not ignore warning signs, because the area may contain harmful odors, bacteria, dangerous tides, or sharks close to shore. The right thing to do is keep your distance, leave the area, and report it to the authorities or a marine animal response team. With a whale carcass, a few minutes of curiosity can come with a very serious risk. In the United States, this is not the kind of job you can easily find in a listing that clearly says, "Whale carcass remover wanted." Most of the people involved in this work come from different fields and are called in when an incident happens. Some are marine biologists working for research organizations, marine animal rescue centers, or stranding response networks. Others are employees of environmental agencies, local governments, or beach management teams. The heaviest work usually falls to commercial contractors, such as companies that operate excavators, trucks, tugboats, or waste disposal services. They earn money through contracts with cities, counties, environmental agencies, or authorized organizations. In other words, not everyone makes a full-time living from removing whale carcasses. But when a whale weighing tens of tons washes onto a beach, those rare skills instantly become extremely valuable. Because at that moment, people are not paying just to remove a dead body. They are paying to save an entire beach from the smell, the risk of pollution, legal trouble, and a public crisis. The next time you read a story about a dead whale washing ashore, you may no longer think only about the smell or the disturbing image. Behind that event is an entire team of people who must step into a place most of us would only want to avoid. They have to protect the public, keep the beach safe, follow conservation laws, and collect important scientific data. They have to work under the scorching sun, beside crashing waves, under time pressure, under the curious eyes of the crowd, and under the attention of the media. It is a job that sounds strange, dirty, and almost unbelievable. But without them, a whale carcass could turn into an environmental, public health, and community crisis. What makes it admirable is that they are not just removing something that has died. They are helping humans understand more about the ocean, the threats facing marine life, and our responsibility toward nature. Whale carcass removal specialist may not be a glamorous job, but it is one of the quietest, heaviest, and most necessary jobs on the coastlines of America.